dumbfounded at what goes on here. The corruption drips off the walls in this place. It's crazy.
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's what the left-wing media wants you to think. You can't handle the truth. But I'll always give you the unvarnished truth of the corruption, media bias, and downright lies you are being told by Albany today. I'm New York State Assemblyman David DiPietro. Some say I'm the conscience of Albany because I believe you, the citizens of New York, need to know the truth. Welcome to the Truth in Politics podcast and to this week's show. Hi, everybody. It's Dave DiPietro. Welcome, everyone, to the bigweck.com. This is Truth in Politics podcast, where we're going to really roll them out today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And before I even start today, because there's so much, I want to talk to you about. People ask me all the time, they come up and say, Dave, what can we do? Or what are you doing? Or what can we do? And I had this last night at a meeting. The whole thing was, Dave, we're so frustrated in New York. We're frustrated around this country. What can we do? And there's a lot of things we can do, but I want to go off of one thing here today I want to talk to you about. Okay. I listen because my constituents, they're important to me, and the issues they face affect the quality of their lives, right? That affects everything you guys do. So politics influence every area of our lives, and no one is accepted from that reach of power. It's just the way it is, folks. Okay, so I tell them what I'm doing on their behalf. I'm speaking, I'm meeting, I'm writing legislation all the time, and we went through a lot of that last night, but that I want to preserve your freedoms. I support small businesses, faith, family, freedom. They all tie together. It's what this country was founded on, and we're watching it under attack all the time. So then I talk to people about the power of the individual, folks. What power could we possibly have in Albany, right? Because people get so frustrated in New York State. What can I do? What power do I have? And I tell people, you may ask yourself this question often. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to give up. It's easy to look at all the dynamics and say, this is too big for me to deal with. And oh boy, I get that all the time from people, right? Benjamin Franklin expresses this thought of maintaining peace and preserving freedom. He says those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And that's very important, folks, because we must not let fear win. And that's what the left tries to do. And you know it every single day. They try to instill fear in you, because every day with a liberal, with a communist, in order to get full power and control, they have to scare you. Every day is a crisis to them. They wake up. You know, I wake up and the sun's out. It's a beautiful day, and I'm like, this is great. What am I going to do today? And life is good. Liberals never say life is good. They never do. They wake up and they're angry. Do you ever notice that? There's something wrong. The world's going to end because there was a storm in Australia, climate change. There was something that happened. Okay, somebody ate a piece of meat that they shouldn't have eaten because it wasn't vegetable produced. It's all the same. Every time they instill fear, they want you to live in fear, because more fear means more government control. And that's what they want. They love power. So what do? We must not let fear win. Okay, courage is the ability to do what's right when we are afraid. It is our duty. This is a big word here, folks. It's our duty to preserve freedom. Noah Webster in his 1828 dictionary, 1828, defined duty the following way. And I want to give you a quick example. Duty, that which a person owes to another, that which a person is bound by any natural, moral, geez, liberals hate that word, morality, don't they? The right wing or the moral conservative, they hate the word moral. It just irks them, because a morality would say, when you look at what is the plumb line and what is right and wrong, morality says, you know what, really, you shouldn't marry your cat, okay? And you're not a cat, you're not a furry, okay? Just because you wear a little something on your head and you use the litter box at school, doesn't really mean you're a cat. See, those are moral standards, and liberals hate moral standards, right? Duty and obligation to pay or perform. Obedience to princes, magistrates, and the laws is the duty of every citizen. subject, obedience, respect, kindness to parents are duties. Fidelity to friends is a duty. Reverence, obedience, and prayer to God. Oh my gosh, prayer to God. You can't say that. Are you kidding me? There is no God. That's what they tell us. It goes on. It goes on. It's obedience, submission, act of reverence or respect. The Declaration of Independence talks about the great duties that we as citizens have towards each other and towards future generations and towards our country. That's right. We're not a globalist economy nation. It's our country. My country, right or wrong, they used to tell us when I was a kid, right? Parents, God, country. Okay, but it's God first. But this is what they tell us. Okay, it's not something to be taken lightly, folks. That's all I want to tell you. So when you ask me what you can do, my answer is simple. Do your duty. Do your duty. Stand up. Speak up. Okay, you know right and wrong. Talk about it. Show people. Don't get fear because you get beat down by the left because they scream and yell and use those tactics. Do your duty. Love God. Love your families. Love your country. Speak up. Make your voices heard. Make your voices heard. Okay, not just in your mind. Okay, in your communities and in your towns and in your state legislative halls. We really could use that, right? It's not only your right, it's your duty. So with that, let's move on and get this rolling, okay? So a couple things happening around New York State. Again, I try to keep you up on some of the stuff that's happening, and here's one that's right in my own district, but all across New York State, if you've noticed, schools around New York State are changing their names to appease the woke crowd of idiots. You notice that? Names like chiefs and warriors are now illegal and must be changed lest New York State education's mindless bureaucrats bankrupt your district, because that's what they'll do. You don't want to change it, we're going to just cut your funding. And they do. And they go after you. I've seen it in my own district. Okay. And I don't want to go, that's another story, but I've seen them take the superintendent right out. State education, they don't care about your kids. Zero respect for your parents. Zero respect for your children. Okay. These are the people they're supposed to care for. What a joke that is. Chiefs is now an offensive word. I have a chief of staff. You go to any corporation, they have a CFO. That's a chief financial officer, right? But now in Albany, on the floor, you want to use the word chief in your school district, or now I guess the word chief is totally out because it's racist, bigot, homophobe. I've got a chief of staff. What am I supposed to call her now? Okay, because I don't want to be a racist, bigot, homophobe. I know it's okay. Now her name, his name. What do I call he, her, them, they? Now in describing this woman, excuse me, or is that a person? This has gone way over the top, too far, way over the top. Okay, liberals scream, and you know who you are. See it on TV and in the news. Okay, they're just losing their marbles. Have you ever seen The View? They lose their marbles because we're boycotting beer, right? And they think that's just crazy. It's just a. But yet they took an Indian off of butter, right? They took the Indian off of butter. They took another person off of syrup, and they sit there and they never say anything about Elizabeth Warren, who claims she was an Indian, and she's a federal senator, and she's a lying. Okay, she's a lying person. She's not. There's no Indian in her, but yet they never say anything. Liberals never take credit, or should I say blame, for anything that they do wrong. Just go back just 5 years during the whole Trump administration. Everything our tinfoil hats look like halos now because we were right on everything. Weren't we? We were right about the vaccination. We were right about there was no collusion in Russia. We were right about everything that happened. And you never can get one liberal to admit and say, you know what, we made a mistake. You know why? Because they lied. They lied. Liberals are professional liars, folks. Professional liars. That's their job in Albany. I deal with it every day. They sit on the floor. They're passionate about their feelings, but their feelings don't match the logic that it's supposed to. They don't match facts. Okay, science is science, not baloney, not in Albany and not with liberals. Science is whatever they tell you the science is and want you to believe. It's not real science. Because right now they're telling us science is a man can have a baby, and 26% of the country actually believes that. And when I'm up in Albany and I say that's a joke and I laugh at it, I'm a racist. I'm a bigot. I'm a homophobe. It's hilarious. I'm sorry. You know what? I know the science, and you can't have a baby if you're a man. You were born a man. I don't care what you feel like today. I really don't. You wanna dress up in high heels. You want to put some lipstick on. I could care less. Okay. I'm not a racist homophobe, but I don't have to defend myself on any of this stuff. The fact is, you can act and do whatever you want. You can feel whatever you want, but it doesn't make it science, and it doesn't mean I have to accept it. Stop shoving it down our throats, because that's what's happening right now. Again, and what happens when you don't accept it? The fear comes in that I just talked about, because you will be ostracized, yelled at, screamed at. The fear of violence will come after you like it has come after me, and they will sit there and attack you all the time. And so what happens? The nature of man is what? The nature of man is to not they don't want to be attacked. They don't want, they want to live their life. The nature of a human being is we don't want to be attacked. We don't want to be confrontational. So we want to work our jobs, raise our kids. We don't want confrontation. But I'm telling you right now, that's the normal person. Liberals, communists, that's how they gain power. They love it. That's why I say every morning they wake up and they're angry about something and they've got to get active. And I've got a couple things I want to talk to you about, because what are they doing now? People are, for climate change or for some other cause, they're now gluing themselves to streets so that the police can't pick them up. It's out of control. Why are you attacking people that they're stopping traffic and people are getting really ticked off? And I love this one video I'll have to show you where the lady, they call her the blonde bomber or something, because she gets out of her car and she just drags this protester by the hair twice, gets her off the street. The protester runs back. She grabs her by the hair again, right? And these people are out of control. You have no right to stop an average person from what they're doing. You want to protest, go protest peacefully. But Democrats, liberals don't protest peacefully. They burn cities down. Again, it's called fear. Do your duty, folks. Stand up to it. I know we don't want to. I know we don't want confrontation. But the fact is, if we don't speak up, we're guilty. Okay, and we're going to let them run over us, because that's what they're doing. They want to extinguish us. I hope you understand that. So let me get off that horse and move on to another one here. Okay, this is great. The state of Kansas, which I love, the state of Kansas. I think it's my favorite state. Okay, they just have a report. Kansas passed a law, bill number 180. If you're a woke person, you hate this. Okay, that just passed. Kansas now says in this law, there are only two genders. That's it. Whatever you are at birth must, I repeat, must be reported on all government documents. Unlike New York State, and I want to get to that because you're going to love it. But unlike that, in Kansas now, whatever you are at birth must be reported on all government documents. The law mandates that trans individuals must use restrooms that correspond to their gender assigned at birth. The bill protects women's spaces currently reserved for women and men's spaces currently reserved for men. Is that funny? So they don't care what you feel like today. They don't care if you're a 40-year-old man and today you feel like a woman and you're going to go into a high school bathroom, a girl's shower facility, and hang out. They don't care. Whatever you are at birth, that's where you go. And I mean, thank God for common sense from at least one state, because New York State, this is not like New York State, where New York State, this is great because I had to debate this on the floor and it's crazy. But New York State is going to change. They want to change all government forms. They want to change government forms to include the extra term other. That's right, other quotation, on forms like your driver's license and on other government forms and applications. So it will actually say male. They're already doing it now, just so you know. Male, female, other. So I actually debated this bill on the floor of the New York State Assembly, folks, and I received calls from police officers around the state screaming, okay, how bad this was. And so picture this, right? Okay, you're a police officer. There's just been a shooting. Okay, you're on the scene. You hear the gunshots, and you're looking around. You see someone get in a car, okay, or someone get out of the car and start running, and you're like, you've got some ID. You've got you call in the license plate. You ask for identification. Who are you looking for? I got to find this person. Okay, what do we got here? And the dispatch tells you it's a 33-year-old other. You're like, what do you mean a 33-year-old? I need, is it a guy? Is it a girl? Okay, what am I looking for? Is it, all those things are going to be taken out. It's an other. I'm sorry, we can't, just imagine a lot of other life and death scenarios, okay, where you need instant identification on a suspect and you can't get it because it's an other. I don't know what an other is. I really don't. I'm sorry. I don't really, not in tune with the alphabet soup crowd, LG, whatever it is. I don't know what they all stand for. I don't care. Okay. You want to be something, be it. Okay. And I'll accept whatever you want to be until you shove it in my face or you affect my life, because you don't have the right to affect my life. And that's called individual freedom. But that's where the left goes woke and shoves everything down your face, right from school curriculum to everything else. And I'm just telling you, folks, it's your duty to say, you know what, we have a free country and we all accept it, but you don't have the right to push it on me. Okay, let me live my life the way I want to live my life without you and government interference. Unfortunately, that's not the way the left and communists and Democrats see this. Okay, they feel they've got complete control, but that's it. Male, female, other. All right, a new study shows New York State is at the highest among rates of Alzheimer's, with New York City, one of the boroughs, at the top. Let me tell you something, folks. Doesn't it feel like Alzheimer's is a horrible disease, and I've got a friend and a relative who had it, and it's horrible. But what's going on in New York that we're the highest in New York City? Okay, I'm not a scientist. I would like to know if they could find that out, and you know what? They don't. They don't know. New York Post. Here's some New York Post. Shoplifting cases see no change under Governor General Hochul. Okay, shoplifting cases are up. There's been no change. It's a travesty. It's a pandemic in New York City. Yet, what happens, folks? She has the nerve last week, if you remember, to do a press conference last week and tell everyone she has fixed crime in the city. And you can't make it up. And even people on the left are laughing at her. They're going after her. They're saying, why did you even have that press conference? Because that's a joke. Okay, New York City is burning. I say that all the time. New York City is burning, and the Democrats who control it are fiddling. They're not doing anything to fix what's going on. Okay, and in the Assembly and the Senate, Republicans, which I'm one of, we have written over 250 bills since this stupid bail reform. Did I say stupid? Crazy? Yeah, it's stupid. Bail reform is probably the worst thing to hit this state. Okay, people have died. Dozens, hundreds of people have died from bail reform. Okay, it's supposed to be really good. It's a horrible, horrible thing. But we've written at least 250 bills to try and even fix it a little bit, to try and make it better, to try and get these criminals off the street. This is just in the last couple of years. You know how many Democrats have even considered? Do you know how many they've actually let us debate? Do you know how many they've actually picked up? Do you know how many of these bills they've said, hey, that's not a bad idea? You know how many? Zero, folks. Zero. Nothing. They don't want it. Okay, they refuse to even listen to anything except more bail reform. That's right, more bail reform. Google any Democrat elected official in New York City. They hold rallies where this bail reform didn't go far enough. They want to close every prison in New York State because they don't think criminals, that's an even a good term for criminals. Okay, they don't believe in it. They believe that criminals are just a product of society, that it's racist and society has put them down. It's because of how they were brought up. It's because of their situation. Society has caused people to commit crimes. There is no plumb line. There's no right or wrong. You just did that. You just knifed that person in the back in broad daylight because society has just put you down for so long. And that whole argument I'm telling you about, you don't think I'm true? Wait till the reparations come next year in New York State. Wait till they come. That's what I'm telling you right now. Mark it right now and replay it, because that's the excuse they're going to use to give everybody reparations. That's what they're going to use. It's a societal thing, even though it's 7 generations and 150 years or more since there was slavery in this country. And the fact that my grandparents came over in the 1900s, had nothing to do with slavery. I never owned a slave. They never owned a slave. But that's what we're going to have. And people that are going to get reparations, none of them, I'll bet you none of them came from descendants of slaves. Hardly, very many, very few. Okay? None of them have been part of the slave movement. But yet, for 7 generations, because they're going to say society has systemically put them down. It's amazing how society has put them down. But yet, other people have come into this country, especially, let's call it, like I've got a friend of mine who's Filipino. He's with me today from the city, came up to visit. They're doing great, right? Okay. They adapt, they work hard, and they succeed, because you can in this country, no matter what your race or color or creed. I'm sorry that, whatever happened 100 years ago or 50 years ago, it's not that way today. And without getting into it, it's you're just looking at it, folks. So did you see this? A gunman opens up and shoots 3 teens in Times Square in broad daylight the other day, right? Hundreds of tourists run for their lives. Folks, Times Square is a gun-free zone. It's a gun-free zone, Times Square. Doesn't this shooter realize this? Can't he read? Did he not see the signs? Democrats have told us, promised us, that we would be absolutely safe in a gun-free zone. It's the law, folks. It's the law. It's gun-free. I don't understand how someone could actually violate this sacred law, go into a gun-free zone and shoot. It just baffles me. They put signs up. Maybe he can't read. Maybe it's the public school system, right? Public education. But I'm just dumbfounded. I thought we had taken care of this problem when we made this a gun-free zone. Times Square, of all places, where it's tourists. Now they're saying that there's the last few days, tourists, it's not as busy as normal. People are looking out over their shoulder. I mean, if you can't go to a gun-free zone and feel safe, wow. This is getting really bad, folks, when people are disobeying the law and not reading the signs. I don't get it. Oh, boy. New York City, well, speaking of safety, all right, New York City school safety agents, these are the safety agents in all the public schools in New York City. They are going to be outfitted with bulletproof vests this year. Why? Our schools are safe, aren't they? I don't get it. Okay, Democrats have been in charge of the public education system for decades. I thought they were supposed to take care of this. Why are schools getting less safe when they've been in charge? Okay, and that's another thing I want to talk about real quickly, because I have put up a number of times in the state assembly, I have written the bills to at least start a discussion on non-lethal forms, because Democrats will not allow a gun in any school. They don't care if it's a retired Army officer, Navy officer. They don't care if it's a state trooper, part of, those the people that protect us, that come in, school resource officers. They do not want any guns in school. So I say, okay, I get it. You don't want any guns in school. How about all the thousands of non-lethal forms of defense? How about a pepper spray or a wasp spray, industrial, that can shoot 100 feet and blind you temporarily? Not going to hurt you, not going to kill you. You flush it out, but it will blind you. enough that someone can come in and disarm that shooter. Why can't we, if Democrats are so concerned about your kids' safety, why can't we put non-lethal forms of defense in schools? A can of wasp spray that shoots 100 feet. What is wrong with that? They won't even talk about it, folks. They will not talk about any forms of non-lethal defense in schools. Why is that? Because they don't care about your kids. Wake up. They don't care. It's about the getting rid of guns in any situation, making America and making New York State a gun-free place. Because in their utopia, if we just make a law that says no more guns, there will be no more crime. There'll be no more gun violence. Because criminals will automatically take their firearms and say, wow, that law, I can't disobey it. You know what, Mr. Police Officer, you know what, here's my AK-47, here's 2,000 rounds of ammunition I had. I just don't, I don't want them anymore because that law you passed that we can't have guns, here you go. I'm sorry. This is so ridiculous. And I want you to understand they don't care about your kids. They're coming after your kids. They don't care about their safety. You know, a gunman opens up on gunman opens up on Times Square. Didn't you read the signs? It's a gun-free zone. I'm dumbfounded. You know, so I want to just let you know. But so this bulletproof vest, here's the great thing about these bulletproof vests for the safety officers in the schools. Now, some lunch monitors and hall monitors want them too. Is that how safe our schools are in New York City? That the hall monitors and lunch monitors want to wear bulletproof vests? You know, but it gets better. Okay, it gets better. Bear with me on this one. Here, I want to quote here. Okay. Let me just, I want to read a quote here because hall monitors and lunch monitors want to be included. They want to wear vests. Many communists and Democrats, and I say communists because that's who runs the school system, are openly complaining about the safety protocol. Okay. They don't want to give vests. They do not want safety officers to wear vests. Wait for it. Okay. Wait for it. Because you can't make this up, folks. You just got to read the paper and read this. Okay. They want the money that go for these vests to go towards health care for teachers and after school programs. Can't make this stuff up, folks. Do I have to explain that comment, how crazy it is? Okay, so follow me, okay? First, what good is another after school program to the person who wants to commit violence during school hours? You want to come, okay, yeah, we want to have another basketball game after school, okay? We want to have a chess club. You think the person committing the violence who wants to stab somebody in school, okay, you think they care about the after school program that's going to get them out of their violent tendencies? What good is health care to the teacher who just got stabbed or shot? They already have health care. They'll get taken care of. What good? I don't get it, but this is how they deflect from actually taking on the problem of bulletproof vests in schools. That's how they take care of the problem. Okay. See how they don't look at this hand, well, look over here. It's crazy. Again, do they care about your kids? No, they don't. Let's move on. Drug dealers are openly selling psychedelic mushrooms in New York City, according to the New York Post. And I saw this and I saw the videos. This is crazy stuff, folks, because makeshift tables are set up in parks and on sidewalks in New York City. And aggressive vendors yelling and barking out prices for their trippy supplies. Look, mushrooms are a Schedule I narcotic in New York State. You sell those, you can get 25 years in jail, right? 25 years for selling those. But police in the city are told, quote unquote, not to arrest anyone. And why is that? Because in Albany, on the floor, Democrats want to legalize it next year. They want to legalize mushrooms. Okay, they want to legalize these psychedelic drugs. They want to legalize them. Okay, so they're telling the cops, don't arrest anyone. But the citizens in the neighborhoods are furious. Cops walk right past these sellers, and they don't, and quote unquote, they don't do a damn thing, said 70-year-old resident Chris Fay. cops were told to back off and let the criminals do whatever. And he says, let the honest people live in fear, said Faye. Okay, these dealers for mushrooms and other stuff, they're selling it openly right in the parks and on the sidewalks. They're yelling at little kids playing in the park to come and try some of their candy. What's going on, folks? What's going on? Are you going to do your duty? Some people in New York City are. But the police, and I'm going to do a show on this with a couple police people, law enforcement, because New York City is, the police officers in the city are so frustrated. Their hands are tied. Half of them have walked out. They've retired. They've moved on to different jobs. They've transferred. New York City is a jungle. It's a joke. The police are under attack from the left every day. It's a disgrace. And the police are they're just ducking for cover right now, trying to just protect their job, literally counting the days to retirement, using sick time, whatever. The job has gotten so bad. And that's and that goes on to the next thing I want to talk about, because the potential New York City Police Department cops, the people who want to become police, has plummeted, all-time low. Let me tell you, in the New York Post, that's right. The number of people interested in taking the New York Police Department exam has hit an all-time low, folks. No exams were given back in 2015 and 16 in the city. None. You know why? Because they had too many applicants. They had over 40,000 certified candidates to be a police officer that had taken the exam, passed, flying colors, 40,000. So they didn't even give the exam in 2015 and 16 for 2 years. They had so many people. And in 2018 or 2017, the next year, over almost 19,000 people took the exam in 1 year. This year, with what's gone on in the last 3 years in New York City, since Democrats have controlled the entire state, and the far left Democrat wing, the communists, now control the entire state and are pushing bail reform, all their leftist communist agenda. Guess how many people took that test this year? Less than 1,000. All-time low. No one wants to be a cop. Cops are actually telling, there's a legacy program in New York City where your grandfather was a police officer, your dad was a police officer, and growing up, so you're going to be a police officer. You want to follow that beautiful tradition. And you know what? They're telling, the police officers in New York City are telling their kids, don't become a cop. You want to be in government, you want to get a government type of job, they're telling them, be a firefighter, do sanitation, go into a different department. Do not be a police officer, because you're not protected by your own community, by the people, the higher ups, the politicians who are supposed to have your back actually hate you in New York City. And I did that on my last show. I told you about the woman who on her Facebook said to attack police, burn the cars and vans with them in them during riots. Remember? And now she just got hired to a six-figure job by the Democrat legislature, Common Council in New York City. She's one of their big people now. They hired her and they said, anyone who attacks her, you're a racist, bigot, homophobe if you attack her. And she's a police hater. She's a communist. And that's what they have. And the police are just sick of it. And I don't blame them. And I want to do a show on this because there's so many stories I have about this with the police that it goes beyond what you can imagine. And I hope you listen to that show. All right. You know, I got so many other things I want to go through here. We're going to wrap, but here's a couple things right here. On Wall Street Journal. All right. If you live in Austin, Texas, right, and you have a good paying job in New York City, right? So you live in New York City, and these are for high income earners. Let's say you're making, here it is. If you make between $150,000 and $650,000 in New York City, if say you make around $650,000 in New York City, if you move to Austin, Texas, you know how much you'll save in cash a year? More than $250,000, more than $250,000. If you make $650,000, you will make, and you move to Austin, same job, same pay, you will keep more than $250,000 each year. That's how much New York City is a rotten apple, folks. That's how much they tax you. That's how much they abuse you. And that's why corporations and executives are moving out. They all move. They all have the residence in Connecticut and New Jersey across the river. They don't deal with it anymore. Okay. And, the people in the city don't have a clue. So I want to ask you, because I talk about people being upset, and we are, but, and how do you upset? How do you anger an honest person, right? You're talking to a friend or someone who's really honest. How do you get them mad? You lie to them. People hate being lied to, right? They hate being lied to. How do you anger a liberal or a socialist? You tell them the truth. That's how you anger a liberal or a socialist. You tell them the truth. Men can't have babies. You're not really a cat. And that ticks them off. Am I right? How do you anger a liberal? You tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Again, it's all part of your duty, folks. I hope you understand that. Okay? We're not just here to live, okay? We're here to do our duty. And one part of our duty, which I always tell you, okay, is to look up. God's still in control. I read the back of the book, folks. We win. Okay? You need to understand that. When you understand that we win, your whole life will change. Okay? Jesus is still on the throne. Accept him, and we win. So thanks for listening today. BigWeck.com, WECK. We will have some other guests next week. I really want to talk to you about what's really happening with law enforcement because they're so under attack. So God bless all of you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
You have been watching Truth in Politics with New York Assemblyman David DiPietro. Search for DiPietro for you and tune in every week on Facebook, Rumble, Twitter, YouTube, and many other internet platforms, including the Big Weck Radio Internet podcast. Thank you for listening.